The wind howled like a warning Elena didn't understand. She stood at the edge of the cliff, her trembling hands resting protectively over her swollen belly. The ocean below crashed violently against the jagged rocks, as if it knew something terrible was about to happen. Behind her, Marcus stood silently. Her husband. Her one safe place. Her everything. Elena turned toward him slowly, her face pale but hopeful. "Marcus, why did you bring me here?" Marcus didn't answer immediately. His cold grey eyes stared at her, not with love, not with warmth, but with something she had never seen before. Emptiness. 6 years of marriage. 6 years of believing she was loved. 6 years of building dreams together. And now, she felt like a stranger standing in front of him. "I thought," Elena whispered, forcing a weak smile, "maybe you wanted to watch the sunset with your family." Her fingers tightened over her stomach. Their baby kicked gently, as if sensing her fear. Marcus finally spoke. "You shouldn't have gotten pregnant." The words struck her harder than any physical blow ever could. Elena blinked, confused. What do you mean?" Marcus stepped closer. Too close. His voice was flat, emotionless. "This baby ruins everything." Her breath caught in her throat. Ruins everything. She searched his face desperately for any sign of the man she loved. The man who used to kiss her forehead every morning. The man who promised to protect her forever. But he was gone. In his place stood someone else. Someone cruel. Someone heartless. Tears filled her eyes. "Marcus, this is our baby." He laughed softly. A cold, cruel laugh. "No," he said. "It's your mistake." Her heart shattered. What did I do wrong? She sobbed. "I've loved you. I've supported you. I've been there through everything." Marcus looked at her like she meant nothing. "Exactly," he said. And then he said the words that destroyed her soul. "I never loved you." The world stopped. Elena felt like she couldn't breathe. "You were convenient," he continued. "You helped me build my company. You believed in me when no one else did. But now—" He paused. "Now I don't need you anymore." Her knees weakened. "No," she whispered. And then she saw her, standing behind Marcus. Victoria. Tall, elegant, beautiful. Marcus's mistress. Elena's best friend. Victoria stepped forward slowly, her lips curling into a satisfied smile. "Hello, Elena." Elena stared at her, unable to comprehend the betrayal. "Victoria." Her voice broke. "Why?" Victoria tilted her head mockingly. "Because I deserve the life you were living." Marcus placed his arm around Victoria's waist. The gesture felt like a knife twisting inside Elena's heart. "We are getting married," Marcus said calmly. Elena felt like she was dying. "You can't." She whispered, "I'm your wife. I'm carrying your child." Marcus's face hardened. "Not anymore." He stepped closer. Too close. Elena instinctively stepped back, but there was nowhere to go. Behind her was only the cliff. The endless drop. Fear consumed her. "Marcus, please," she begged, tears streaming down her face. "I love you. We can fix this. We can be a family." Marcus's eyes were empty. Cold. Dead. There is no family. And then, he pushed her. For a moment, Elena didn't understand what was happening. Her body fell backward. Her arms reached out instinctively. "Marcus." Her scream echoed across the ocean. She saw his face above her, emotionless, unmoved. Victoria stood beside him, watching, smiling. The sky spun. The wind roared in her ears. Her hands clutched her stomach. "My baby." She hit the water hard. Pain exploded through her body. Everything went dark. Above, Marcus looked down at the ocean. Victoria wrapped her arms around him. "It's over," she whispered. Marcus nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. But he didn't realize something. Elena wasn't dead. Not yet. Far below the surface, her body drifted in the freezing water. Her consciousness flickered weakly. Her lungs burned. Her body screamed in agony. But her heart refused to stop. Because inside her, Another heart was beating too. And somewhere, deep inside the darkness, Elena made a silent promise. If she survived, she would return. Not just for herself, but for her child. And when she did, everything would change. Darkness. It was endless. Heavy. Silent. Elena floated in a place between life and death, where pain existed but time did not. She couldn't feel her body. She couldn't open her eyes. But she could hear something. A faint voice. Stay with us. Another voice followed. She's breathing. Weak, but she's breathing. Elena wanted to respond, but her lips wouldn't move. Her mind screamed, but her body remained still. Then came the pain. Sharp. Burning. Everywhere. It tore through her chest, her arms, her legs. And then, her stomach. Her baby. Her eyes flew open. Bright white light blinded her. She gasped, her throat dry and raw. The ceiling above her was unfamiliar, stained with age and cracks. She wasn't dead. She was alive. Panic filled her. Her hand shot to her stomach. Still round. Still there. Tears flooded her eyes instantly. My baby. She whispered weakly. A shadow moved beside her. An older woman leaned into view. Her skin was weathered, her grey hair tied into a loose bun, and her eyes were filled with gentle concern. Easy, the woman said softly. You're safe now. Elena tried to speak, but her throat burned. Where? She croaked. You're in my home, the woman replied. My name is Rosa. Elena's mind struggled to catch up. Home. Not a hospital. Not the ocean. Home. Rosa handed her a small cup of water and helped her drink. The water felt like life itself. You fell from the cliff, Rosa explained gently. My grandson saw you floating near the rocks while he was fishing. We pulled you out. Elena's heart pounded. Memories rushed back violently. Marcus. Victoria. The push. The betrayal. Her breathing quickened. They tried to kill me, she whispered. Rosa didn't look surprised. She simply nodded, as if she already understood. You're lucky to be alive, Rosa said. Another minute in that water, and you wouldn't be. Elena closed her eyes as tears escaped down her temples. Lucky. The word felt strange. She had lost everything. Her husband. Her home. Her life. But she still had one thing. Her baby. She placed her hand gently over her stomach again. A small movement answered her. A kick. Elena sobbed. Not from pain. From relief. You're strong, Rosa said quietly. Both of you. Days passed slowly. Elena's body was broken, covered in bruises and deep wounds. She could barely move without pain. But Rosa cared for her like a mother. She fed her, protected her, never asked questions Elena wasn't ready to answer. Outside, the small fishing village lived peacefully. It was far from the city, far from Marcus, far from the life Elena once knew. One morning, Rosa sat beside her with a serious expression. You cannot go back, Rosa said gently. Elena looked at her. If the people who did this find out you're alive, they may try again. Fear gripped Elena's heart. She knew Rosa was right. Marcus believed she was dead. He wanted her dead. And Victoria. Victoria would never allow her to live. Elena stared down at her stomach. She wasn't afraid for herself. She was afraid for her child. What do I do? Elena whispered. Rosa reached for her hand. You live, she said firmly. Elena swallowed hard. Live. It sounded simple. But it wasn't. Her old life was gone. Elena Whitmore was dead. The woman Marcus pushed off that cliff no longer existed. Weeks turned into months. Her body slowly healed. Her strength returned. And then one night, the pain began. Sharp contractions tore through her body. Rosa held her hand as Elena screamed. It's time, Rosa said calmly. Hours passed in agony. Elena thought she wouldn't survive. But then, a cry filled the room. Small, fragile, beautiful. Rosa smiled. It's a girl. Elena's heart stopped. A girl. Rosa placed the tiny baby in her arms. Elena stared down at her daughter. She had soft dark hair, tiny fingers, and eyes that slowly opened. Eyes full of innocence. Eyes full of life. Elena broke down completely. "I thought I lost you," she sobbed. The baby moved closer to her warmth. Alive. Safe. Real. In that moment, Elena felt something she hadn't felt since the cliff. Hope. She kissed her daughter's forehead gently. "I promise," she whispered. "I will protect you. No matter what." She looked into her daughter's eyes and made another promise. The woman Marcus tried to kill was gone. In her place stood someone new. Someone stronger. Someone unbreakable. He took everything from her. Her love. Her trust. Her life. But he made one mistake. He didn't finish the job. And one day, she would return. Not as his victim, but as his reckoning. 6 years passed like a slow sunrise after a never-ending night. The woman who once lay broken in Rose's small fishing home was gone. In her place stood someone stronger. Someone reborn. Elena stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the collar of her crisp white blouse. Her reflection stared back at her with calm confidence. Her dark hair fell neatly over her shoulders, and her eyes no longer carried the fragile sadness they once held. They carried strength. Behind her, a small voice called out, "Mommy." Elena turned instantly, her expression softening. A little girl stood at the doorway, holding a stuffed rabbit. Her dark eyes were wide with innocence, her tiny face full of love. Sophia. Her daughter. Her reason to live. Elena knelt down and opened her arms. Sophia ran into them without hesitation. "Are you going to work?" Sophia asked quietly. Elena smiled and kissed her forehead. "Yes, my angel." Sophia looked up at her. "Will you come back?" The question pierced Elena's heart. It was a question born from fear. Fear of losing the only parent she had. Elena held her tighter. "I will always come back," she promised. Always. Because everything she did now, she did for her. Over the past 6 years, Elena had rebuilt her life piece by piece. It hadn't been easy. At first, she had nothing. No money. No identity. No protection. Only Rosa. And her daughter. But Elena had something stronger than wealth. She had purpose. During her recovery, she spent nights studying while Sophia slept beside her. Rosa's grandson, Matteo, helped her access online courses. Elena relearned business, finance, and strategy, the very skills she once used to help Marcus build his empire. The empire he stole from her. She remembered every detail, every weakness, every secret. Years later, an opportunity came. A retired businessman in the nearby city needed help saving his failing company. Elena offered her advice quietly, using a false name. Within months, the company recovered. Profit returned. And Elena earned something priceless. Trust. From there, everything changed. One company became 2. 2 became 5. 5 became 10. Elena wasn't just surviving anymore. She was rising. She built her own empire silently, carefully, strategically. No one knew her past. No one knew her pain. To the world, she was simply known as Elena Vale, a powerful businesswoman, untouchable. But at night, when the world was quiet, she remembered. The cliff, the fall, the betrayal, Marcus. She never allowed herself to forget. Not because she wanted revenge, but because she needed justice. One evening, Elena sat in her office overlooking the city skyline. The lights glittered like distant stars. Matteo entered quietly. "You received an invitation," he said. Elena looked up. "From whom?" Matteo hesitated. "Whitmore Industries." Her heart stopped. Whitmore Industries. Marcus's company. Her company. Matteo placed the envelope on her desk. "They're hosting a charity gala," he explained. "The most powerful people in the country will be there." Elena stared at the envelope. Her fingers trembled slightly. 6 years. 6 years since the cliff. 6 years since he tried to erase her existence. Matteo spoke carefully. "You don't have to go." Elena remained silent. Her mind raced. Memories flooded her. His voice. His betrayal. His push. Then she thought of Sophia. Her daughter deserved a future free from fear, free from shadows, free from the past. Elena picked up the envelope and opened it slowly. Inside was a golden invitation. Her name printed clearly. Elena Vale. Not Elena Whitmore. He didn't know. He had no idea. A calm smile formed on her lips. "He believes I'm dead," she said softly. Matteo nodded. Elena stood and walked toward the window. The city stretched endlessly before her. 6 years ago, she fell as a victim. Now, she would return as something else. Not broken. Not weak. Powerful. Untouchable. Ready. She turned to Matteo. "Prepare everything," she said calmly. Matteo understood immediately. "It's time?" he asked. Elena nodded. "Yes." Not for revenge. For truth. For closure. For justice. That night, Elena returned home and found Sophia asleep, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Elena sat beside her and brushed her hair gently. "I'm doing this for you," she whispered. Sophia stirred slightly but didn't wake. Elena smiled softly. She wasn't the same woman anymore. Marcus had created this version of her. Through his cruelty. Through his betrayal. Through his attempt to destroy her. He gave birth to someone stronger. And now, she was coming back. Not to beg. Not to cry. Not to break. But to face him. And this time, she would not fall. The grand ballroom glittered with opulence. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen stars, reflecting golden light across the polished marble floor. Powerful men and women in tailored suits and evening gowns moved elegantly, unaware of the storm that had silently arrived in their midst. Elena stepped through the entrance, her heels clicking softly against the marble. All eyes turned, but not out of curiosity, out of presence. She carried herself with a quiet power that drew attention effortlessly. The whispers began almost immediately. "Who is she?" "She's stunning." Her aura. But Elena wasn't here for admiration. She was here for one man. Marcus Whitmore. The same man who had pushed her off a cliff, who had smiled at her betrayal, who had tried to erase her and her unborn child from existence. She saw him across the room immediately. He had aged gracefully, his silver-grey hair perfectly styled, his tailored suit flawless. But the arrogance, the entitlement, those were exactly the same. His eyes scanned the crowd, and then they stopped. Recognition. Elena froze for a heartbeat. Letting him register the impossible. She was alive. Marcus's jaw tightened. A flicker of unease crossed his face, gone almost instantly as he forced a smile and moved toward her with confident steps. Beside him, Victoria's eyes widened, and her hand clutched Marcus's arm tightly. "Elena." Marcus breathed. His voice was sharp, like a blade trying to hide its tremor. "Yes," Elena said softly, her tone controlled. "It's me." Silence fell around them. Conversations halted mid-sentence. The powerful crowd suddenly sensed tension, though none could know its origin. Marcus opened his mouth to speak, to explain, to lie, perhaps even to charm, but Elena stopped him with a single steady gaze. She didn't flinch. She didn't tremble. "You thought you could kill me," she said quietly, but every word carried ice and fire intertwined. "You thought you could erase me, erase my child, erase my life." Marcus stiffened. "Elena, it's we." "You don't get to speak," she interrupted. "Not tonight. Not ever again." Victoria paled beside him, realizing perhaps too late that this woman, once weak and broken, was now something untouchable. Elena moved gracefully closer, each step deliberate, each movement radiating the power of someone who had survived death itself. Marcus tried to maintain composure, but every inch Elena closed the distance, his confidence faltered. "You left me for her," Elena continued, her voice quiet but deadly. "You pushed me off a cliff while I was carrying your child. You smiled as if it was nothing. And for 6 years, you lived your life believing I was gone. But I survived. And I thrived." She paused. Marcus's eyes darted around nervously. A bead of sweat slid down his temple. Elena smiled faintly, almost pitying. "Do you see me now, Marcus? The woman you tried to destroy. She's stronger, smarter, and untouchable, and she has something you can never take. She gestured lightly toward the edge of the room, where Sophia stood with Rosa quietly watching. Her daughter's small hand rested against Rosa's arm. Innocence, love, life, everything Marcus had tried to kill. For a moment, Marcus looked away, but he knew the truth. Elena wasn't here just for him. She was here for justice, for her daughter, for the years stolen from them. You, Marcus said finally, his voice tight. You're alive. Yes, Elena said, holding his gaze. And I am here to reclaim my life. Not to beg, not to plead, but to show you that your cruelty created a woman you cannot control. The crowd whispered in astonishment as Elena turned gracefully, her gaze sweeping over the room, powerful and commanding. She had become a force that no one could ignore, not Marcus, not Victoria, not anyone. Marcus stood frozen, the man who once held absolute power over her now, powerless in the face of her resurgence. Every charm, every authority he wielded in boardrooms and social circles failed to match the silent gravity she carried. Elena stepped back, giving him the finality of her presence. The cliff didn't break me, Marcus. It made me. And one day, everyone will know that the woman you tried to destroy became unstoppable.